Musical musings, musical musings, musical musings, musical musings.
Hello and good afternoon. Welcome back to the latest episode of Musical Musings. This program airs every Wednesday at 1 p.m., and we broadcast from Ratchamakan University of Technology, Peranakan. We will bring this program to you in two parts. For the first part, we will talk about a particular singer or band who performs a song, and then we will talk about that song a little bit. Then we're going to listen to the song. And in the second part, we will talk about anything in the lyrics that is difficult to understand. So I will explain to you what those words or phrases, what they mean. We will talk about that in the second half of the program after we listen to the song. After that, we will have the news and latest updates from the university.
Musical musings, musical musings, musical musings, musical musings.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Gary Gray. I am your host for Musical Musings. I'm an American English teacher here at Ratchamakan University, and I have been here for about 6.5 years, going on 7 years now, and I will be bringing you this program. So for today's program, Musical Musings, we are going to talk about the song Florida by the band MoFro. All right, so first of all, let's talk about the band itself, MoFro. What are they all about? So this is an interesting one. I usually bring to you very popular bands and much older bands from 1960s or 1970s. MoFro, they're not too recent. They formed in the 1990s, but they are more recent and less well known than most of our bands that we've done on this program. So why did I pick them? Honestly, I just think their music is good. So I want to introduce their music to you and have you listen to one of their songs. So this is a little more obscure and a little more recent than most of the bands that we do on this program. Okay, so MoFro. It's a weird name. It really comes from nowhere. Some people think it sounds close to a kind of bad word in English. MoFro itself, no, but it's short. There is a bad word that we use in English that it sometimes gets shortened to something very similar to this, but that's not really where their name came from. It was just the nickname for the lead singer, and so that's why they used the name. Okay, so the band name is MoFro. M-O-F-R-O. MoFro. M-O-F-R-O. And as I mentioned before, they formed around the mid-90s. It's not clear, like, the exact year when they formed because it was kind of a gradual thing. You know, the lead singer met up with some other people. They started playing, practicing, performing, whatever. And so this whole thing took some time. So maybe it was 1993, 94, 95, 96. The whole thing took a little bit of time for the whole band to develop. So we don't really have a perfect date when they formed, but basically in the mid-1990s. The lead singer, sorry about that, the lead singer, his name is John Higginbotham. John Higginbotham. He goes by the name J.J. Gray. I'm not really sure why he picked that name, but he did. And just so you know, that's no relation to me, even though he has the same last name. First of all, it's not his real last name. His real last name is Higginbotham, not Gray. Second of all, he spells it differently than I do. Most Americans with that last name spell it Gray. That's how I spell it. He spells it Grey, which is how most British people spell that last name. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's not his real last name. His name is John Higginbotham. I don't know why he picked that name, but that's the name he picked. So now, if you go online and look up this band, you will look up J.J. Gray and MoFro. It's not really any different from the original band, which was just called MoFro. All that happened was the lead singer, his grandmother said, "Well, are you afraid to use your name in the band? Are you embarrassed by your name?" And so he put his name there, which is a little bit weird because he didn't use his real name, so it's still a little bit weird. He didn't use John Higginbotham. He used J.J. Gray. So he still didn't use his real name, so I'm not sure how his grandmother feels about that. But that's why his name, even though it's a fake name, that's why his name is now in the band. So it's now called J.J. Gray and MoFro. Okay, so they formed out of Jacksonville, Florida. You might have heard of that before, even though it's not a very well-known city. It's a very big city, but only big, like, geographically in the area size of it. It's actually the biggest city in America, but people-wise, it's very small. It's a very small city. But you might have heard of it. Why? Because we talked about it last week. Last week, we featured a band called Lynyrd Skynyrd. They were also from Jacksonville, Florida. Same place. Same place. So J.J. Gray and MoFro are also from Jacksonville, Florida. All right, so they formed, as I said, in the mid-1990s, but their growth was pretty slow at first. In fact, I actually saw them in person perform. It was probably around, I don't know, maybe 1999, 2001, something like that, somewhere right around 2000. And their first big album that was really popular came out in 2001. So I saw them right around then. I might have actually seen them before the album came out, even though I saw the music on the album, because they were already performing those songs in their live concerts. So I think I saw them around 2000, but the album came out in 2001. Their first big album, they did have some other earlier records than that, but their first big album came out in 2001. It was called Blackwater. All one word, Blackwater. Blackwater. And on that album was the song Florida, which is what we're going to be talking about today. So that was on that album. Now, sadly, well, I'm not sure how sad it is because it didn't actually happen. I mean, it didn't have the impact that it could have had. But sadly, the band almost didn't exist beyond 2001. Now, the reason I say I'm not sure how sad it is because they did exist beyond 2001. But they had a major accident in 2001. The parallels here with Lynyrd Skynyrd are very similar. You remember Lynyrd Skynyrd was also from Jacksonville, Florida. Their band pretty much ended when they had an accident. They had a plane crash. killed the lead singer. Ronnie Van Zant, he was gone. And that pretty much ended Lynyrd Skynyrd. They're still around today with his brother, Johnny Van Zant, doing the singing. But it's not quite the same. So that was pretty much it for Lynyrd Skynyrd. And we almost had the same thing happen with MoFro. Now, for them, it was a car accident, not a plane accident. With Lynyrd Skynyrd, it was a plane accident. Here with MoFro, it was a car accident. But thankfully, unlike Lynyrd Skynyrd, nobody actually died. They were seriously injured, so the band did have to take a break for a while, and they didn't come back again until about 2004, so that's like 3 years later, so it took them years to get back. But they did. They came back, and they're still out there performing today. All right, so that is MoFro. That's our band we're talking about today. And the song we're going to do is Florida. So what is Florida about? It's all about the changes going on in Florida. Okay, so what's Florida? I think most Thai people have heard of it. If you think of America, maybe you don't know all of the states. We have 50 states there. And so, yeah, I'm pretty sure most of you probably don't know some of the smaller states. Like if I mentioned to you Utah, or Idaho, or Montana, or Iowa, you might not know what any of those are. But most of you have probably heard of California, or New York. And Florida is kind of right up there. So most of you have probably heard of Florida. So for any of you who have heard of Florida, what do you think of when you think of Florida? Probably the first thing that comes to people's mind when they think of Florida is Disney, like Mickey Mouse. That is in Florida. Disney World is in Florida. Some people might also think of Miami, which is a very famous big city with beaches. So Florida is known for things like Disney and Miami Beach. And so those are all things that have developed there. You know, they built Disney Park, Disney World. They built that. A lot of people have moved to Florida, including like Miami Beach, or some other cities like West Palm Beach, or Tampa, or Sarasota, many cities in Florida. A lot of people have moved there. They've moved there because Florida is very tropical and warm. It's a lot like Thailand. Not quite as hot. In the winter, like December, January, it gets a little cooler there, especially in the northern part of the state, than it does here in Thailand. But it's quite similar. It's similar to Thai weather. It's very hot. They have a rainy season in the summer, probably from about June to October. It's rainy. That's their rainy season there, which is pretty similar to here in Thailand. June to September, October, something like that. So it's kind of the same type of weather. But in America, you know, America kind of goes very far north as well, so we have a lot of cold weather. So a lot of older people in the north, when it's time for them to retire and stop working, they want to move to the south, where it's warmer, so they don't have to deal with the cold weather. Like here in Thailand, if it gets below 20 degrees, people think it's cold. Ooh, it's 18, 17 degrees out. Ooh, that's cold. In America, in the northern part of America, all winter long, it will be very common to be below 0 in America. So very cold. Very cold. Temperatures nobody here in Thailand has ever experienced unless they've traveled to those places, because we don't get those temperatures here in Thailand. So, a lot of those people want to move to the south. A lot of them go to Florida. So Florida has seen a lot of changes, a lot of development. We have the amusement parks like Disney, or we have them building homes and condos and apartments for all of the people moving from the north down to Florida. So what this song is about what Florida kind of used to be. Lots of nature. Lots of nature. It's a very interesting state for its nature. For example, they have alligators, which here in Thailand we have something similar. We have some crocodiles here, which are almost the same as alligators. But the American alligator exists almost exclusively in Florida. They can travel a little bit. Sometimes you'll see some in some places in Georgia or South Carolina or Alabama or Mississippi. Those are states that are close to Florida. You might sometimes see them around there, but they're mostly from Florida. So Florida has its own very unique and interesting nature. And this song is about preserving and protecting that from all of this development and expansion that's going on. All right, so let's go ahead and listen to this song. For those of you on YouTube, we cannot include the video here. We can't embed it, so you'll have to click on the upper right to watch the video. But for those of you who are listening via radio or streaming, you're not going to miss anything. The video, much like last week's video when we did Freebird by Leonard Skinner, the video this week also has no actual video with it. They never created a real music video for this song, so all the video has is the music. So, this will not be any different for anyone listening. You will all get the same thing. You're just gonna hear the song. All right, so here we go. Let's get to the song.
Musical musings, musical musings, musical musings, musical musings.
Okay, welcome back. That song was Florida by MoFro. It is a song about protecting the environment. Okay, so let's go through the lyrics and talk about anything that might be a little hard to understand. So we start out the song with the first verse. I remember my grandpa telling me about the early days of Florida. Born a swamp cracker 2 miles from Granny's Bay, coming up the way of the wilderness. All right, so what does all that mean? We have a few words there that may be hard to understand. So I remember my grandpa telling me, okay, grandpa, that's just a short name for grandfather. So he's talking about his grandfather telling him stories about the early days of Florida, so what it used to be before all the development. Born a swamp cracker 2 miles from Granny's Bay. All right, Granny's Bay is just the name of a area of water. A bay is kind of like an area of water that kind of sticks into the land. So that's just some water. Florida is on the coast. It's on the Atlantic Ocean. It's on the coast. So that's all we're talking about there. The bay is just an area of water. Jacksonville, Florida is right there on the coast. But what does swamp cracker mean? What do they mean when they say that? Born a swamp cracker 2 miles from Granny's Bay. Okay, a swamp is kind of land that's really wet and lots of nature, not developed. It's in fact, you can't develop it because it's too wet. So it's very muddy, that kind of idea. Very muddy, very wet. And a lot of parts of Florida are like that. They're very wet. So he was born in that area. Now, because you can't build in that area, probably he was born in a little bit of a drier area where you could have a house, but in that area. So the grandfather was born in that area. So he was born in a swamp. We call that a swamp. Very wet, watery area where you can't build anything. But it calls him a swamp cracker. It says, born a swamp cracker 2 miles from Granny's Bay. A cracker is actually a little bit offensive. They get away with using it in the song because they're describing themselves. You know, there are a lot of bad racial words that you should not use. A lot of words you can use about people of other races, and they're bad words that you shouldn't use. Cracker is one. It's about white people. But J.J. Grey, MoFro, they're a bunch of white people, so they can kind of get away with using this word. Just like the word sometimes you will hear black people use a lot in some of their music. I'm not going to say it because it's not an appropriate word, but you will hear them use a certain word to describe themselves. So we're doing the same thing here. He's saying he's kind of, old-fashioned white person, just kind of really conservative, kind of stuck in their ways, that kind of person. So he was born a swamp cracker from 2 miles from Granny's Bay. So just a really old-fashioned guy born out there in the natural environment. All right, so then we continue. Coming up the way of the wilderness. All right, we already mentioned that line. Okay, so all they're saying is that there's a wilderness means like nature. So there's a lot of nature there. All right, so then we continue with the song. No car, phone, or electric light. Just living life one day at a time. No newspaper, no war, no strife. Just the elemental keys that provide for life. All right, so they're saying that it was very, again, old-fashioned. They didn't have a car. They didn't have a phone. They didn't even have electricity, no electric light. They didn't have newspapers. It says no war. Of course, there might be war, but they didn't know about it because they were totally unaware of anything going on. They didn't have electric, so they had no TV. It says they had no newspaper. So they're just out there living their life by themselves. So no war, no strife. The word strife means like bad things happening in life. So they weren't dealing with any bad things, even though this sounds bad, right? They're poor, they don't have a phone, they don't have electricity. Sounds bad. It's actually a very simple life, so some people actually like that. It's very simple, easy to get along. So no strife, no problems. We just wake up in the morning, go to bed at night. Easy life. And it says in the next line, just the elemental keys that provide for life. All right, so when we say elemental keys, what are they talking about there? Elemental means basic. Keys means like the way you access something. Think of a key opening a lock. So the elemental keys are the basic things you need. So when it says just the elemental keys that provide for life, it means that's all they had. They had the basic things you need to live. So again, you wake up in the morning, go to bed at night. Simple as that. And maybe they had a simple job where they made a little bit of money, could buy a few things, or maybe they would hunt or fish or whatever to get their food, whatever they needed to do. Very simple life. They didn't have a lot of worries. They weren't wealthy. They didn't have a lot of things. No car, no phone, no electricity, nothing. So they didn't have a lot of things. But they were still happy. Very simple life. Don't have to worry about anything. If you have no electricity, you don't have to worry about paying that electric bill. If you don't have a phone, you don't have to worry about, you text this person. Oh, I shouldn't have sent that text. Oh, no, I shouldn't have done that. Nothing like that. No worries. None of the things that we have to worry about in modern life. They have none of those worries. Very simple life. Okay, so then we get to the chorus. Florida, I know you're out there hiding from me. You get harder and harder to find. To understand every day she keeps slipping away. Florida, please don't fade on me now. Okay, so Florida, I know you're out there hiding from me. In other words, we have all of this development. All of that simple life we just talked about. It's all gone. Or all going away. We shouldn't say it's all gone. In fact, it says, I know you're out there hiding from me. So there's still some parts out there, somewhere, in Florida, which are still like that. And there actually are. This is a very reasonable song. There actually are. Parts of northern Florida are still very much like this. So that's what he's talking about. He's saying, Florida, I know you're out there hiding from me with all this development taking over. So it gets harder and harder and harder to find what Florida used to be. In fact, that's what the next line says. You get harder and harder to find. Yes, it's hard to find it, but it is out there. Yep. Florida, I know you're out there hiding from me. It's out there. Okay, it says to understand every day she keeps slipping away. When we say something is slipping away, it means it's going away. It's disappearing. It's not there anymore. So that's what that saying means. So it says, every day she keeps slipping away. It means Florida, the old-fashioned Florida, is going away. That's what we're talking about with the development. You get Disney, you get condos, you get apartments, all of that stuff is wiping out what Florida used to be. So Florida is slipping away. Florida, please don't fade on me now. All right, when we say fade, for something to fade on me now or fade away, that's not what this says, but a lot of times we will use that phrase, fade away. Again, same thing about slipping away. It means disappearing, going away. So it says, Florida, please don't fade on me now. It means, Florida, please don't go away. The original, the old Florida. All of the nature, all of the environment, the simple life, all of that stuff. Don't go away. We love that part of Florida. So that's what the song is singing. All right, so then we get to the second verse. Autumn sun sets, morning skies ablaze. The oaks and the pines turn their palms up to the sun. All right, he sings that kind of fast, so it's a little hard to understand. What does that even mean? Okay, autumn sun sets, morning skies ablaze. All right, that's autumn sun. Autumn, it means like, that's a season. That's like before the weather gets cool. Again, it doesn't really get very cool in Florida. It's a lot like here. But it does get a little cooler in the winter, especially in North Florida, where they're from. It can get cooler than it gets here. So, you're getting on towards the cooler weather. And that time of year, because of the way the sun goes down, you tend to get more colors in the sky when you get sunset. So the sky might turn red, for example. So that's why they say the sky's ablaze. Actually, they're talking about the morning. That's when the sun is coming up. It's going to be the same thing. It's the same angle of the sun, which causes that. So it's the same thing. So the sky is kind of red when the sun comes up. That's why they say the sky is ablaze. Ablaze, that word means fire. Obviously, there's not fire in the sky, but it looks red. It's red. Looks like fire. Okay, the oaks and the pines turn their palms up to the sun. What does that mean? Okay, oaks and pines, those are two types of trees. It says they turn their palms up to the sun. The leaves of the trees will kind of change directions. They react to the sunlight, so they turn towards the sun. So that's all it's saying there. The oaks and the pines turn their palms up to the sun. So the leaves are turning to the sun. Okay, next line. The kind of beauty that hits down in your soul, but still you're hell-bent to destroy it all. Okay, so what it's saying here is the kind of beauty that hits down in your soul. This is, it's so beautiful, you kind of feel it. You can feel it in your soul. And then it says, but still you're hell-bent to destroy it all. Hell-bent means you're determined to do something no matter what gets in your way. You're gonna do it. That's it. You're gonna do it. Doesn't matter. So they're saying you're hell-bent to destroy it all. In other words, these people building the amusement parks, building the condos, building the apartments, they don't care. They don't care. They're going to destroy that nature. All they care about is making money. Sell the condo. Get visitors to your amusement park. Have people come to Disney. That's all they care about. That's what that's saying. Obviously, it's not a good thing. So this song, again, is about preserving the environment. So they're not saying that's a good thing. They're saying it's a bad thing because we're going to destroy it all. All right, we continue on. With concrete and steel we pave a road to hell on a land we've killed. Okay, so concrete and steel. We're talking about what it takes to build those things. It says with concrete and steel we pave. Pave, that's like when you put down road. When you're putting down road. So we're building new roads, new highways, things like that. In fact, we'll talk about highways in a moment here in this song. So that's what it's talking about, putting down more roads so people can get to those places that we're building. So that's destroying the environment even more. Now we need to build roads to get there. So with concrete and steel we pave a road to hell on a land we've killed. When we talk about a road to hell, it means we're doing something bad. It's not good. You think about what those words say, and it kind of means exactly what it says, you know. Hell, obviously, is not a good place. So a road to hell, that's going to take you to a bad place. So this is a bad thing. What it's saying is that we're doing something bad because we're killing the land. A road to hell on a land we've killed. We're killing nature. Okay, then we finish this second verse. So take a good look and remember it now, because one day you're going to wake up and find it gone. All right, so those two lines are pretty easy. So it's just saying, look around at the nature. Remember it. Take a good look. Because the way it's going in Florida, it's all going to be gone soon. They're continuing to destroy it, so sooner or later it's going to be gone. Okay, then in the song we get this weird part, which we call a bridge. It's not really the chorus, it's not a verse. It's kind of an extra part. A lot of songs use this maybe to change key or something like that. Or just to make it a little more interesting. So it says, Now skyscrapers and superhighways are carved through the heart of Florida, building subdivisions while the swamps are drained, making room for people and amusement parks. Okay, nothing confusing there. Maybe you don't understand a few of the words, but it's basically saying that we're building up Florida and destroying the nature. That's what the song's about. It says now skyscrapers and superhighways. A skyscraper is a very tall building. So we're building these big buildings. Superhighways. That's a big road. We're putting in these big roads. They're carved through the heart of Florida. Carve means to cut something. So we're just going right through the middle of Florida to put these highways in, destroying the nature. Building subdivisions. A subdivision is like a neighborhood outside of a city. So in other words, the city is expanding. So getting bigger. While the swamps are drained, all right, again, the swamps, those are the wet areas. So we're draining them means we're removing the water. That's so that they can build on them. Remember what we said at the beginning, you can't build on a swamp. So that's so they can build on them. Build more things, destroy more of the nature. We're making room for people and amusement parks. An amusement park is like a fun park like Disney. All right, we continue on. It's like watching someone you love die slow. Yeah, they're killing her one piece at a time. So her is talking about Florida. So we're killing Florida. We're destroying the nature. And we go on. I know some fools who think I should let go, but they've never seen Florida through my eyes. In other words, some fools think he should let go. Letting go means giving up. So some people think, you know what? This is just progress. We build houses. We build things. Okay? It's okay. Let it go. He says, but they've never seen Florida through his eyes. In other words, he knows what Florida should be like. So he sees it. He knows what it's supposed to be like. And those people that are telling him, just let go, they've never seen Florida the way he sees it. Okay, that's about it. We get the chorus again. I know you're out there hiding from me. Ba, 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 ba. So we get the chorus again. And that's the end of the song. All right, so I would recommend you to check out MoFro. They have lots of great songs. This song is Florida. They also have some other great songs. Fireflies, Brighter Day, Lochloosa, Blackwater. Great music. And a lot of times I talk about genres. I don't even like to talk about genres because they cross so much. But as far as the genre for this music that they perform, it's again kind of like Southern rock like we did with Leonard Skinner last week. But there's a little more of a folk flair to it. What is folk? Folk is kind of softer, smoother, gentler music that tells a story. So we get a little bit of that here with MoFro, more than you do with like Leonard Skinner. Leonard Skinner is like straight up Southern rock. MoFro is like Southern rock with some folk in there. All right, so there's a great genre blend here, so please check them out. Again, it's J.J. Grey. They've now added that to their name. It used to just be MoFro. Their lead singer is John Higginbotham, but he goes by J.J. Grey. So it's now J.J. Grey and MoFro. So let me spell that out for you so you know how to look them up. J.J., well, that's two J's, J.J. Grey is spelled G-R-E-Y, J.J. Grey, J-J-G-R-E-Y, and MoFro is M-O-F-R-O. So go ahead and look them up on YouTube and check out more of their music. Thank you for joining us for today's Musical Musings program. Please stay with us and tune back in next week for another great song. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you.
Musical musings, musical